Welcome back to the Humble Market Timer YouTube channel. Once again, if you enjoy the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. In today's video, we're going to look at Bitcoin and Nvidia. The charts are eerily similar, pretty much identical, with one small exception. Before I go any further, here's my disclaimer. Once again, these are my sole ideas, not investment advice. Now, I've been studying this Bitcoin chart, and I keep telling myself I have seen this chart before, but I never could put my finger on it. And there's some distinct things about the chart that are standing out that I just know that I've seen before. One of those things is you got this sort of sideways or uptrending W action right here. That's very noticeable and distinguishable about the chart. So that's one thing. Also, it looks like it's setting up for another W action, except it's more of a horizontal W. And I was like, I know I've seen that action before. And one other thing I noticed is this has been one of those uptrending charts for an extended period of time. However, the RSI, and this is a weekly chart, the RSI has been in a downtrend over an extended period of time. And that's a little unusual when you have that type of, it's generally called bearish divergence, when you have an increase in price, but a decrease in the relative strength index. Typically, you do have stretches where that occurs, but usually it's not an extended stretch. It's not so long. Usually, you look for that reversal with that bearish divergence to occur a little bit quicker. But for some reason in Bitcoin, it hasn't occurred in a very quick fashion. And just looking at those three things, I said to myself, I have seen this action before, but I just couldn't put my finger on it. And then it finally hit me. It had to be another chart that I've seen a lot of, and it happens to be Nvidia. You have that same uptrending W pattern right here that I mentioned in Bitcoin. And then you also have a more sideways W pattern that it looks like you're in the process of making in Bitcoin. It just happens to be that it's fully formed in Nvidia. So just to kind of put a little bit more credence to the fact that these charts are eerily similar, let's do a bar copy where basically we're going to copy what the action in Nvidia is, and then we're going to compare it to the action that's in Bitcoin. So there's the bar chart. We're going to copy it, and then we're going to move it to and paste it here in this, and then we're going to adjust it a little bit. Let's move this down to about here. And you can see how close the price action is in Nvidia versus Bitcoin. Really the only difference is notice how this action right here and this consolidation right here, the consolidation in Bitcoin has taken much longer than the action that has occurred in Nvidia. You see, this consolidation is about 6 months, But here in Nvidia, which this is again a copy of Nvidia, it only took about 2 to 3 months. You see how you have this action here. See how it almost lines up identical. I mean, it's eerily similar. The only difference is Nvidia is up here and Bitcoin is right here. It's like it's an incomplete move of Nvidia. Where we are in Bitcoin in November of 2025, we were basically at that point. If you look back at the Nvidia chart, let me get rid of this for a second. We're basically at the same spot that occurred in Nvidia in January of 2025. It broke this resistance line here in January. It rolled all the way over, and it made that W, with the lowest portion of the W here, kind of lined up with the lowest portion here. You look back at this Bitcoin chart, we're in the process of doing it, it appears. Well, here's the W. We're breaking the line right here. It looks like we're going to possibly roll over down to here before we get a bounce. So again, you can see the eerie similarities in Bitcoin and Nvidia. And when I was thinking about it, I was like, it sort of makes sense because Nvidia has been the strongest and leading company in the entire stock market, and Bitcoin is pretty much that in all of crypto. So you have two behemoths that are at the top of their respective securities or commodities or whatever you want to look at it, however you want to look at it. They're both at the top of the food chain, and they have similar charts. It's just that Nvidia, the action in Nvidia is just a sped up version of what potentially is going to occur in Bitcoin. And part of that may be due to the fact, and I'm trying to speculate why that could be the case, Nvidia did undergo a split. And I'm thinking maybe that stock split is what has caused the chart to kind of speed up a little bit, even though there really should be no difference in when a chart, when a company does a split versus when a company doesn't do a split. The price action from a percentage standpoint should still be the same, but oftentimes things can get a little skewed when you have those splits. And so I just find it funny and pretty ironic that you have the two top dogs and they have such identical charts. And so the hope for a lot of Bitcoiners is that once we do have this rollover where we do cross this long-term uptrending line, we get a rollover that lasts a certain period of time, maybe 4 or 6 months, and then we get this big bounce, just like we saw in Nvidia, for recovery. And so that is the hope that we are, the people who are rooting for Bitcoin and want Bitcoin to do well, we would like to see. If it looks like we're about to enter that bear market, we would love to see price action very similar to what we're seeing in Nvidia. Hope you liked that video. I think they're eerily similar. Hopefully Bitcoin can follow in the footsteps of Nvidia. The charts are lining up perfectly. Let's see if they have the same outcome in the very near future. Right now, Nvidia is probably about 10 months ahead of Bitcoin. Let's see in 10 months if Bitcoin is also at all-time highs, just like Nvidia is right now. Hope you like the content. If you like it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.